But hopefully, somehow in the next few days, we will come to some arrangement that will be able to settle most of it.
Now we continue our special series, Up There to Where, a probe on the South Melbourne football move to Sydney. South Melbourne players, their wives and girlfriends are now facing major problems with the shift. How are they going to face up to those difficulties, Rob?
Well, David, the problems for South or the Sydney Swans at first appeared to be massive. However, as coach Ricky Quaid and some of his players tell us tonight, those problems can be overcome and may well lead to the Swans making a strong challenge for the premiership flag.
In Sydney, the young Swans have spread their wings to take in the sights of the city, which for many of them is the land of promise. This is the city they believe will soon become their home. And as coach Ricky Quaid strolled through King's Cross at night with two of his young players, Stephen Allender and David Rees-Jones, they talked about their move north.
I prefer to live in Melbourne, I guess, in some ways, but because obviously I've been there for 11 years and my friends and all that type of thing are there. But I can see it because the Sydney people want to identify with us, so if we are successful this year, and of course sure we will be, we will shift up here next year.
Well, it's hard to sort of put it down, but I suppose if all the guys got, all their girlfriends and wives that will come up with them, I don't think it's going to rock the boat at all, with many of their lifestyles or whatever.
Some of the team will welcome the move north. However, others may find problems with jobs, housing and the cost of living. And the constant flying between the two capitals for games during the 1982 season is not likely to be a piece of cake. Coach Ricky Quaid reveals some of the difficulties his team faces.
There's problems, with housing and employment, that type of thing. I believe the younger fellas should be given a fair go, and while there are cult figures and that type of thing, they do appeal to the crowd, they should be just there to perform, but sit down and do their job and just play well for the team. I suppose you could put it down to that, yes, big heads. But, from what I've seen of the players so far, and I have mentioned to them quite a few times at training, what's ahead of them, and they are aware of those pitfalls, and I'm quite sure these players that are playing for the South Melbourne at the moment, or the Sydney Swans, won't fall for those traps.
As the young Swans played the game of tourists, skylarked with Sydney's history and beauty, they made it clear the team is dedicated to winning Sydney over. They like what they see in this city, and all the money, the publicity, the razzmatazz of their flight north for the winter has given the boys a great morale boost. Some believe they have the capacity to take the VFL Premiership flag this season, and they're aiming for the top.
Australian football will succeed at top level in Sydney.
What effect will Australian rules have on rugby, soccer, other codes?
I haven't thought that one right through, and we're not interested at this stage. The prime objective is to have Australian football at the top level established in this magnificent city.
As they fly high in Sydney, the Swans are looking to the day when they may achieve a Taj Mahal-style luxury headquarters like the rugby league clubs, complete with poker machines and lavish entertainment.
Oh, I would hope that we'd have some of those things within 12 months, regardless. I mean, those sort of things up here are part and parcel of football and the sporting world.
Here at Centre Point on top of Sydney, it seems easy to reach for the sky, easy to believe that you have Sydney at your feet. Certainly, the VFL and the new Swans are in that mood, despite the criticism and the opposition.
And when the Swans' moment of glory was realised by winning the night premiership at VFL Park, Rob Astbury was there.
The closing moments of a grand final, the realisation of a dream come true. The Swans, a club with a proud tradition and a brand new name, all set to win their first premiership in 22 years. They say time heals all wounds, but in the case of the Swans, it was success that brought their many disillusioned Melbourne supporters out into the near freezing temperatures to share in a long overdue premiership. The final siren was delayed 4 minutes as eager fans let emotions run wild, and the enthusiasm was shared around Australia by a vast television audience. In Sydney, where the telecast was delayed, 1,000 fans crammed into the Chevron to watch their heroes on closed-circuit television screens. Hundreds queued up outside. And then the glorious moment arrived. The tension of a long, hot, dramatic summer was washed aside as the Swans' proudest moment in years became a reality.
We
when you held that Premiership Cup up, what did it mean to you? What was it like? All those people
I've been
roaring?
playing a lot of years, Rob, and just I haven't run around the MCG. That's my ultimate aim, but that was pretty close to it tonight, and just every one of the boys can share in that.
Fantastic! It's incredible. I couldn't wait till it ended, and it just shows what a lot of hard work can do.
Oh, it's enormous. This is going to do the club that much good. We'll make the finals now. We're going to get them all scared.
We knew if we stuck together, we could go a long way, but never this far so early.
Oh, and that's just a thrill for me. But the players were the ones that had to do it, Rob, and all credit should go to them, really.
Can you go on now this year?
Well, we've got to settle them down, as quickly as possible after tonight, and we've got a very important game against Footscray next week in Sydney and on Sunday, and we've got to win that one and try and get ourselves into the 5.
During his career as a journalist, Rob has broken some big stories. However, the following special report is considered by the station as one of the network's best news exclusives of the year and has been nominated for a Walkley Award under the section of Best News Report or Documentary. The story was followed up with front-page stories by most daily newspapers and editorial comment.
The date, November the 11th, 1981, and this jet from Melbourne is bound for Canberra. On board, a very special group of passengers, the 1981 VFL Premiership team Carlton, and their destination, an appointment for dinner at the Lodge.
President Ian Rice, how did it all come about?
Well, Rob, 2 weeks ago the Prime Minister rang me up at home one evening enthusiastically proposing that we finish off our grand final celebrations by having dinner with him and Mrs Fraser at the Lodge. Naturally, I accepted and the team's very pleased to be on board.
The question that everyone wants to know, who's footing the bill?
Carlton's paying for the trip, and you asked the Prime Minister who's paying for the dinner.
Well, I'll do that.
Just 1 hour later, the Carlton Football Club, the Aussie Rules premiers of the Victorian Football League, were preparing to touch down at the nation's capital. For some of the group, this was their first plane trip. For many others, it was their first flight to Canberra. And for everyone, it was going to be a trip they would never forget. The big jet had been specially chartered by Carlton as the club's gesture to the team. On board was a party of 48 that included selected officials, coach David Parkin, and 20 footballers who played in the Premiership team, plus their wives and girlfriends. Also on board, to capture the occasion exclusively, a 2-man television news crew and a sports reporter who shared the excitement of all present. After arriving at the Canberra airport and departing from the aircraft, the party quickly boarded 2 buses that had been specially hired to escort everyone straight to the exclusive address in Canberra, the Prime Minister's Lodge. Judging by the reception at the front gates, it was obvious that the security guards were well aware who was coming for dinner. The VIP visitors were transported straight past security, down the drive, and right to the front door of the lodge. And you don't have to be on the PM staff to realise this was VIP treatment. And then, if that wasn't enough, Mr. and Mrs. Fraser were right there, outside, to extend a warm, individual welcome.
Not inside.
Ian Rice, the president of the Carlton Football Club, was delighted to be able to make the introductions. Both the Prime Minister and Mrs. Fraser had a word for each guest.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up. We'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark blue.
With the official introductions completed, it was time for the party to adjourn to the lodge.